It's never a dull moment here in Greater Orlando, and over the past week we've had 4 stories that lined up to billions of dollars of impact here in Orlando that I just had to share with you. So let's dive in. So if you live in Central Florida, you know that traffic is something that so many of us talk about, and we've done whole videos on the billions and billions of dollars that have been set aside and are in motion for big road projects, but we need so much more than just more roads. And that's when this next story actually comes right in. Over the past week, there was $400 million of bond money that was asked for from Brightline and the city officials down in Tampa. Now they're looking to add on that Brightline track from MCO, most likely over to like the Convention Center, Disney Springs, and then on down I-4 into the Tampa area. They're talking about maybe Ybor City, which is where they would have maybe their hub, and allow the two cities to have a little bit more multimodal options than just get on I-4 and go back and forth. They're guessing that if this goes through and Brightline opens up, that it would take about an hour to get between the two cities. And I think that if it runs as smooth as it does on the other side of the coasts, I think this is a really huge thing for Florida. The more we can get around our state a little bit easier without having to be so car dependent, I think helps us all out. But let me know down below, if you guys had this in your backyard, would you use it? You know, with everything going on here in Central Florida, you might be thinking about either selling or buying a house here in the Central Florida area. And so when that time comes, my real estate team and I want to be your real estate resource of choice. Check us out over on Google. We've got over 1,600 5-star reviews. Then when the time comes, check out the orlandoreal.com/YouTube to get started. Have you heard of the Boring Company? It's actually pretty fascinating. There's an underground tunnel network that they use Teslas to take people from one place to another. Now, Vegas already has this that's under construction and they're working on that takes people up to 100 miles an hour in these Teslas back and forth in these underground networks. Now, there's already been other places in Florida that have talked about adding these. Fort Lauderdale was one of them, where they talked about maybe bringing a tunnel network from the beach all the way to the port. But now they're setting their sights here in Orlando. At least that's where the tea leaves are leading a lot of people. The president of the iDrive Chamber, Maria Tescari, has said that she's heard from several sources that a tunnel is being planned and in discussion. She said iDrive is known for being forward-thinking, tech-savvy district that embraces innovation, which is one of our biggest assets, so it's no surprise that an idea like this surfaces here. Now this is interesting to me. It looks like they're trying to look at maybe going from the airport to iDrive, maybe just from Universal up and down iDrive, trying to get some of the cars off the road, very similar to our last story about Brightline. And when you think about multimodal, this is one of the first new ideas that I've heard come to Orlando in a very long time. You've got the autonomous vehicles above ground, which still clog up the roads. You've got adding another lane, which doesn't really change much other than cause more traffic. You've got elevated roundabouts. You've got a lot of different things, but this is one of the first new things coming to our area that I'm actually excited about. When you look over at Vegas and the loop that they're running, the day passes run about $14, and you can get a one-time use anywhere between $4 and $7. So it's actually cheaper than an Uber in most cases, and I think this would actually get a lot of love if it was to move forward. So let us know what you guys think down below. Next is a big project that is actually moving forward right now. It's a $400 million renovation to Camping World Stadium. Now, it's not going to be named that forever, by the way. It used to be the Citrus Bowl, and then in 2016 changed to Camping World, and actually that naming rights expired last year. And so if you have a company and you want to name it that, they are opening it up for bid right now. I was considering Pozek Group, and then I heard what the numbers would be. But anyways, there's going to be $400 million in renovations. They're going to be adding an extra 5,000 seats. They're going to be adding some hurricane resistance, more infrastructure, non-sexy stuff, and then more things that look fantastic, kind of redoing the outside, covering one small section of one end zone, most likely for events, but they are not going to be covering the entire thing, which is kind of an interesting thing. Hopefully one day they maybe consider a retractable awning over there. My guess, that would be pretty cool. I've also seen some ones where they have just kind of like the seats covered and the field is open. Anyways, I'm digressing. But I'm excited to see some bigger events come to the area. This is like why some of these huge names go to Tampa and Miami, because we don't have a world-class large stadium in Orlando yet. But in 2027, when this is all done, we will. And so they're hopefully wooing some Jacksonville Jaguar games while their new stadium's getting built, as well as some other big international things going on here locally. So I'm excited about the overall project moving forward. But let me know, have you been to an event there, and what's the one change you're hoping to see? Now, if you guys watched my channel at all before, you know I'm a huge fan of Central Florida in Greater Orlando, what we've got going on here, not only for what it is, but what it could become. And I believe the same thing with our entire state. I think we've got some of the most beautiful beaches and a lot of really cool things, but our economy is actually fantastic. And it's not just my opinion. This is actually a report that came out over the past week from CNBC. They talked about the top states for doing business in the country, and they ranked it top all the way down to number 50. Alaska was the worst, if you're curious who was the worst place to do business. And they ranked it from everything from the economy to workforce and cost of living. And so let's break this down. Looking through some of the data here, it wasn't that they just looked at a few different business owners and polled a few people. They actually grabbed stats from like 10 different places, including the Bureau of Economic Analysis, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Tax Administration, and a whole bunch of other things, and looked at a bunch of different metrics everywhere from gas prices and home sales, and kind of compiled one of the more impressive studies that I've seen recently. So they said that we were actually ranked number 1 for our economy, number 16 for our infrastructure, up from 35 last year, which I'm kind of curious the jump. Our workforce, they ranked number 2. Now this is interesting because down the list it starts talking about our education, and we're kind of right in the middle. We were 37th, now we're 29th, and so I'm kind of curious with the workforce. Is it that we have so many people that are from the hospitality industry, from the retired community, the people that are getting out of college, and maybe just a good mix here? Tech and innovation, they said that we were number 12, previously as 16, and really going down the list here, there's no ranking metric that actually got worse year over year. In fact, we were 5 on the list just last year, and now we're number 3. So it's kind of cool to see Florida leveling up in a lot of these different ways. Now, the place that they got an F, and now this is something you guys are going to tell me in the comments. You might have already jumped there before you heard this part of the video, so hopefully you've actually continued to watch before you drop this comment. But they talked about the cost of living. We are 48 out of 50. That's a pretty bad thing in regards to just overall pieces here. So the areas that do have better jobs and more training and more opportunity, maybe some more houses as well, so that the cost of homes come down a little bit more, will start to level out some of that cost of living. But really, that's the only F that we got on the board. Everything else ranked really, really well, which I was really happy to see. So these are some of the biggest stories happening in Greater Orlando over the past week. Let me know down below which of these would affect your day-to-day or week-to-week the most. And before you leave, make sure you hit the subscribe button, as we're putting out new videos every single week about life here in Orlando. We'll see you guys on the next video.